of California was presented to the USS California in 1907 by the native daughters of the Golden West. Joining the 2nd Division Pacific Fleet, California took part in the Naval Review at San Francisco in May 1908 for the Secretary of the Navy, Victor H. Metcalf. Aside from a cruise to Hawaii and Samoa in the fall of 1909, the cruiser operated along the West Coast, sharpening her readiness through training exercises and drills until December 1911, when she sailed for Honolulu, and in March 1912 continued westward for duty on the Asiatic Station. After the service representing American power and prestige in the Far East, she returned home in August 1912 and was ordered to Corinto, Nicaragua, then embroiled in internal political disturbance. Here she protected American lives and property, then resumed her operations along the West Coast. She cruised off California and kept a watchful eye on Mexico, at that time also suffering political disturbance. During that time in Mexico, she was involved in an international incident in which two of her the X and Y, the 1914 reshuffle. That turned the ship California into San Diego, and the state's old name into Naval Hardware. Surprise history, served cold. The battleship San Diego became flagship of the Pacific Fleet, on and off, until a January 1915 boiler explosion sidelined her at Mare Island. Heroic actions by Ensign Robert Carey and Fireman 2nd Class Telesforo Trinidad earned both the Medal of Honor. After repairs duty at Guaymas, San Diego, toured the Panama-California Exposition as a popular attraction, then returned as flagship through early 1917 before reserve status at World War I's outbreak. A small rename, a big story. Guardian launched into a world at war. This is the story of the USS San Diego. Placed in full commission on April 7th, the light cruiser San Diego began as a Pacific flagship, calm before the storm. By July, she was ordered east. On August 4th, she reached Hampton Roads to join Cruiser Division 2. For weeks, she flew the flag of the commander Cruiser Force Atlantic, standing tall through peril and uncertainty. Her real job, shepherding merchant ships through the first, most dangerous leg of the Atlantic crossing. Based out of Tompkinsville, New York and Halifax, Nova Scotia, San Diego braved weather that shredded decks and a submarine war that lurked beneath every swell. Convoy after convoy, she saw to it no stragglers were left, guiding tired freighters to the ocean escort with steady guns and steadier crews. No flashy duels, just quiet duty, iron nerves, and a record of safely delivering every charge. In a war of shadows, San Diego was a line of light, and a reason thousands made it home. 18th of July 1918, USS San Diego left the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, bound for New York, where she was to meet and escort a convoy bound for France. The mission was routine, on paper. The sea ahead was anything but certain. Her captain, Harley H. Christie, ordered a zigzag course, at a speed of 15 knots, a precaution against unseen threats. The ship weaved, steady and disciplined. Visibility was reported as 6 to 8 miles. In his report to the Board of Inquiry, Christie stated that all lookouts and gun watches and fire control parties were at their appointed stations and on full alert, with orders to safeguard watertight integrity in dangerous waters, given, understood, and carried out. At 11:05 the next day, 19th of July, San Diego was steaming northeast of the Fire Island lightship when an explosion occurred on the cruiser's port side, adjacent to the port engine room and well below the waterline. The bulkhead at the site of the explosion was warped so that the watertight door between the engine room and number 8 fire room could not be shut, and both compartments immediately flooded. Captain Christie assumed that the ship had been torpedoed and immediately sounded submarine defense quarters and ordered all guns to open fire on anything resembling a periscope. He called for full speed ahead on both engines and hard right rudder, but was told that that both engines were out of commission and that the machinery compartments were rapidly flooding. The ship had taken on a 9-degree list, and water began pouring in through one of the 6-inch, 152mm gun ports, flooding the gun deck. As water poured into the gun deck, it also entered coal chutes and air ducts, further increasing. Radio was not working. Christie dispatched the gunnery officer to the mainland with a boat crew to summon rescue vessels. About 10 minutes after the explosion, the cruiser began to sink. Orders were given to lower the life rafts and boats. Captain Christie held off giving the order to abandon ship until he was certain that San Diego was going to capsize. When the crew abandoned the vessel in a disciplined and orderly manner, Christie was rescued by a crewman named Ferdinando Pocaroba. She had sunk in 28 minutes with the loss of 6 lives, the only major warship lost by the United States after its involvement in World War I. 2 men were killed instantly when the explosion occurred. A crewman who had been oiling the port propeller shaft was never seen again. A man was killed by one of the smokestacks breaking loose as the ship capsized. One was killed when a life raft fell on his head, and the 6th was trapped inside the crow's nest and drowned. Point Woods, New York, after a 2-hour trip, and vessels were at once sent to the scene. The Navy Department was informed that a German mine-laying submarine was operating off the east coast of the U.S., and the U.S. Naval Air Service was put on alert. Aircraft of the 1st Yale Unit, based at Bayshore, Long Island, attacked what they thought was a submerged submarine lying on the seabed in around 100 ft, 30 meters, and dropped several bombs. It turned out to be San Diego, cause Captain Christie was of the opinion, following the sinking, that San Diego had been sunk by a torpedo. However, there was no evidence of a U-boat in the area at the time, and no wake of a torpedo was seen by the lookouts. While it was reported that 5 or 6 mines had been found in the area, the idea that she had struck a mine was also considered unlikely, as it was thought that a mine would have been more likely to detonate at the bow or the forward part of the ship. It was subsequently reported that experienced merchant officers believed that a mine was the probable cause, due to the violence of the explosion and the rapidity with which the ship sank. In August 1918, the Naval Court of Inquiry appointed to investigate the loss of the cruiser concluded that San Diego had been sunk by a mine, mentioning that 6 contact mines had been located by naval forces in the vicinity of the spot where she had sunk. Century of debate over USS San Diego's end. Some suspected sabotage, covert explosive operation on board. Others blamed a drifting or moored sea mine strike. For decades, theories about the sinking fiercely clashed. In 1999, allegations surfaced accusing a German spy. That explosive planting claim faced swift skepticism from naval historians. Recent deep-sea dives located wreck evidence nobody had seen. Recovered German naval records also reshaped the historical narrative. U-156 was actively laying mines off Long Island's coast. Naval logs recovered in Germany corroborate those mine operations. Wreck analysis revealed extensive compartment flooding through multiple decks. Investigators also documented a large hull breach amidships. The damage didn't match signatures of an internal explosion, nor did it fit the massive punch expected from a torpedo. Experts conclude the damage pattern aligns with a sea mine. A moored mine likely struck an unprotected half-inch hull section. That impact would have ripped the plating and flooded compartments. Some debate still clings, and questions remain among historians. Yet the weight of evidence favors a mine, not sabotage. Presently lies in 110 ft, 34 m of water, with the highest parts just 66 ft, 20 meters below the surface, and as a result is one of the most popular shipwrecks in the U.S. for scuba diving. Unfortunately, the wreck lies inverted, upside down, and has decayed over the last century. More scuba divers have died over the years on the wreck than the number of crew killed in its sinking, but this has not diminished its popularity. Nicknamed the Lobster Hotel for the abundance of lobsters living there, it is also a home to many kinds of fish. The wreck lies at 40°30 6 and 70 are 30 degree 28 Uri burn. W approximately 13.3 miles or 21.7 kilometer due south of the intersection of Route 112 and Montauk Highway in Patchogue, New York. The wreck is listed in the National Register of Historic Places.